Hello, everybody, and welcome back as we jump into. Now we're going to validate a user. Now that we've got it so that the user can create an account, we're going to go ahead and allow them to log into our game. However, there's something we're going to have to take care of, and rather than wait until this becomes a problem later on, let's go ahead and kind of resolve this now. Interestingly enough, while our account creation that we did last time works, it actually doesn't work correctly. Let me show you what I mean. So the way that it worked is, or does work, is our UI handler calls the on new account clicked method, which then turns on and turns off some canvases, turns on the message canvas, calls the database create account thing, and posts this message. Then the database create account, which is right here, goes through and creates the hash, pushes a form, and launches this coroutine. Now, once this coroutine is launched, control is handed back to UI handler, and it continues execution from this line, which is where it went into my database. The thing is, however, the coroutine hasn't finished. We don't know. We're actually assuming that it has. In actuality, it has not finished. The time it takes to send that to the PHP, have the PHP query the database, get something from the database, and then have the PHP bring it back to us, even on my local machine right here, takes too long. And if I'm on an actual remote situation, it takes longer. So to show this, remember our debug.log message right here. When this works correctly, it shows a 1 in our console, which indicates that it wrote one record into our database. So let's take a look at this. What I'm going to do is right down here at the end of this message text right here, I'm going to do a quick debug.log, and I'm going to say we are back from the database. And what we want to see is we want to see which one shows up first. If it's working correctly, we will say a 1, then we are back from database. If it is not working correctly, they'll be flipped. What difference does that make? Well, the issue is the way that we're doing this is if it's coming back and it's saying, yes, we're all good, is it actually good? We don't know. This hasn't finished yet. So let's take a look at what we got here. And it's going to turn out the solution for this is really simple. In fact, I left the solution sitting there, so let me delete that script really quick. All right, so let's take a look at what happens here. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. And once I run it, if I run it, there we go, I will create me a new account. So let's go with, there we go, let's go with create account. And I'm going to give myself a username of test, a password of test, a password of test. I'm going to create an account. Look at this. We're back from the database before we actually got our successful writing of the record to the database. That's not good. That's a problem. It's easy to fix. The way we're going to fix that is we're going to use something called delegates. So over here, and you're more than welcome to just design your scripts folder layout however you want. This is just the way that I'm doing it for this particular project. I have a folder inside my scripts. It's called definitions. And that's where I've got scripts that are defining various things. Like I've got a script that defines enumerators. A bunch of enumerators that exist in the game, for instance. Well, I'm going to go ahead and add to this. I will right click on definitions there and do a create C# script. And I'm going to create a script that's called delegates, because that's what I'm going to define now. And what delegates are, you can think of them as a variable that points to a method. And essentially, it allows us to assign a method to that variable and then access that variable method whenever we need to. So that means that I can have my database handler, when it's actually ready to, it can call this variable without knowing what methods are listening to it. So that's really what a delegate comes down to. Let's see, I am not going to need my generic collections. I'm not even sure I'm going to need collections, but I'm going to leave it there. And actually, really quick, let's jump over into PHP MyAdmin, where I've got this. What did I just do? Let's go to the browse. I'm going to go ahead and delete this test one that I just made, so I'll just delete that. record, because I don't want it anymore, awesomeness, and put that back on my other screen. Okay, so I'm going to define my delegate. That's going to be the first thing I'm going to do. So to define a delegate, I will say this is going to be a public delegate, and now I'm going to give the method signature. So for right now, and we can come back and change these later. It's kind of like what we're doing with the PHP and everything. We're kind of skipping a lot of error checking. We're going to do that in the next video. Right now, we're just like, can I make this work? Okay, now that I make this work, can I keep somebody from breaking it? If we worry about making sure it can't be broken first, it can be a little bit longer. Okay, so public delegate, I'm going to say void on account creation. If I want to include any parameters, which maybe I do eventually, I will put them in there. For right now, I don't. And now I'll say public static, meaning there can only be one of these things in my project, in my game that's running. So public static on account creation, that's the data type. The data type is this method that's a delegate, and the variable name that accesses it, I'm just going to do a lowercase version, on account creation. There we go. Good. We have our delegate ready. So let's go into our UI handler. And in our UI handler, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start off up here in our start. We're going to subscribe to this. So subscribe to needed delegates. And the way we do that is, well, we access our delegates. I have them in the delegate script. So delegates dot, which one do I want to subscribe to? On account creation. Sorry, the lowercase one, because that's my variable that gives me access to it. And how do I subscribe? Plus equals. What method do I want to subscribe to this? I will say account created. Like so. And boom. Well, why do I have a squiggle there? Because I haven't created that method. Let's drop down to right about here. And I could do a region, probably a good idea. Region delegates. There we go. And let's go down here. End region. There we go. So that way I can boom boom like so. See, that's nice. Haha. All right. Blank. Okay, so in here I'm now going to say void account created. Boom, boom. I'm ready to do stuff. This is going to be called by the database handler when it's done doing whatever it has to do. Well, how can it call this? Because this is private. It's going to call this by calling this. And the database handler is not going to have any idea who or what is listening to this. It doesn't care. It's simply going to say, hey, you delegate thing, if anybody's listening, go do something. Okay, great. What do I want it to do? That's pretty straightforward. What I want it to do, if I scroll down into this else where I've got all of this stuff going on, I am going to take where I call the database thing right there. Let's do, boom. There we go. Clean this up a little bit. All right, all of this stuff, as far as turning canvases on and off and setting up my messages, all of this happens after I'm done with the database. So that means it goes inside my delegate method right there. Cool. So how do I get this to do anything inside my database handler? Well, over here in my database handler, for right now, I'm just going to drop down here after my if and else, because either way, I've done something. So I'm going to drop down here and I'm going to say if delegates dot on account creation not equal to null, meaning if somebody is listening to this delegate. If they're not, okay, I'm not going to tell anybody anything. Fine. But if somebody is listening to this delegate, I'm going to do a delegates dot on account creation, open, close, parenthesis, bam. And that right there is going to execute the method that this variable points to. Or I'm sorry, execute the delegated method that this variable points to. And what is that delegated method? Whatever's subscribed to it. I could have 1,000 things subscribed to it. Right now I only have the one. I want to add one other thing, and that is inside my UI handler. Once I'm done here, I want to go ahead and unsubscribe. Just in case this ever gets called again, I don't want to be doing stuff here. So I'll say minus equals account created. And if I ever end up back in this scene recreating stuff, then I can run my start again. But basically, I don't want this to like get double called for some really weird reason or whatever. All right, so let's see what happens. Let's see if that reverses these two. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to finish accessing our database before we think we've finished accessing our database. So we'll do a quick play on this. And once we play it, we will create another one of those awesome test accounts. So let's go create account. Let's do test and test and test, and let's create this account. Finished with the database, and now we think we're finished with the database when we actually are. Delegates, awesome. So that was going to be a problem going forward with our user account system. So now that we have that, I'm just on my other screen here deleting that new test account I just made. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. There it goes, it's all gone. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get ourselves logging in with our username and password. So let's go to our UI handler. Good place to start, I think. And in our UI handler, we are going to need a delegate for this. So I'm going to go to my delegates, and I will say public delegate void on login. And let's say boom boom, like so. Public static on login on login. Okay, now I'm going to get it working this way, but we kind of might want to be thinking in the back of our minds, do I want to be sending anything here? Do I want my database handler deciding if it was successful or not? As it turns out, largely yes, but I might want to be sending in like a bool success. So were they successful logging in? The database handler will know that. And so the database handler can say, hey, we're good, or hey, that sucked. And then the UI handler will decide, okay, well, what do I need to display as a result? And you can see I can do the same thing right there. So I'm kind of building upon what we've already done. So yeah, I would want to do this up there. And once we finish constructing this for login, you're going to be like, oh, I see what I need to do for the account creation. It's going to be the same process. So, okay, awesome. We've got that made. Let's save that. Let's go over here to UI handler. And let's do a delegates dot on login plus equals login. Can I do that? Let's say logged in. Let's do it that way. Oops. No, there we go. Haha. All right, so now let's go down here into this, and I will say void logged in, open close parenthesis, boom, boom. All right, now I've done this. Why do I have an error here? This is the same thing I did before. Why is it not working? Remember our signature for how we define the delegate. I need to have a bool, and I can call this whatever I want, is good. Fine. It's happy. I had to match the signature. However, I kind of liked that name, success, so I'm going to use that, like so. Ha, yes, awesome. What am I going to do in this? I don't know. Let me get there. I'm not sure. But I'm probably going to do something similar to this for now. Okay? So for right now, let's just grab all of this, do a Control-C. Let's come down here and do a Control-V. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to say logged in. Logged in. Haha. And I'm going to change my, what is this? My unsubscription here. And this is going to become on login is going to unsubscribe my logged in. Which, the more I think about it, the more I'm kind of like, I'm not really sure I want to do this because error messages, they try again, whatever. But I'm trying to get it working. Then we'll come back and we'll look at that in more detail. Okay, so I've got this backend set as far as what comes once PHP comes back to me. What do? Okay, that's set. So now let's go on login clicked. Hey, we need to go to the DB handler, and this is kind of why I do these debugs and set up some of that stuff so that I know where it is I need to add things, and I need to add it right here. Okay, so my DB handler, does it have anything for logging in? Probably not. So right here, let's do a public, let's say void. I could say bool, but let's say void. Public void, and I'm going to say login. Yes. String username. String password. It should be really, really similar to what we've already done. All right, so now I can go back here, UI handler, and I can say, all right, so I'm ready to log in. So I'm going to say, what is it? mydb.login. What do I want to send it? Username.text and password.text. Username.text, comma, password.text. Boom, boom. How do I know it's those? Because those are the ones I was testing for up here. And remember, one of the problems I ran into last time was what was I sending it? And that's kind of why I created these up here. So it's like, oh, I know what I'm doing now. Yes. And I could do the same thing over here, but this is a little bit cleaner, a little bit easier at the moment, and I might come back and do something else with this in time. But for right now, I'm going to do that. And then that's going to call. So I'm done in UI handler. I'm following the same thing we did for creating an account, except I'm working on logging in, sending username and password. Once the database handler is done whatever it's done, I have a delegate ready to display a message as a result. Sounds pretty good to me. I think we're moving forward well. So let's go to our DB handler and let's figure out what do I need to do in here. You know what? I need to do the exact same thing, except I need to call a different PHP file. Other than that, it is the exact same thing. I need to hash my string, hash my password. I need to create a form. I need to push that. I need to start a coroutine. Okay, so recognizing at this point that I'm doing some reworking, that I'm getting ready to copy and paste, I'm going to go ahead and select all of this right here where I hashed my password. I'm going to cut that out of here. And, let's say right up about here, I'm going to say, not void, I'm going to say string create hash. And it's going to accept a string parameter, which is basically going to be what to hash. I'm going to go right in here, just do a Control V, and take a look at what I've got going on here. So how did we do this before? This hash is the string of what we hashed, right? And this crypto, okay, and this crypto is something that we use. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm going based on red things. So this red thing tells me I don't have this password. Right, this password was over here. Okay, what is it I want to hash up here and create hash? I want to hash that one that I just passed, which is str. I might, in time, I might decide I want to hash both usernames and passwords. Why? I don't know. Why not? I can. What difference does it make? It's still going to use the same amount of database storage. So I could. Do I want to? Well, we'll see. Okay, so then this creates this hash right here. And then all I need to do now is return something. So I'm going to say return hash. It's going to return that hash, which is return hash dot toString. How do I know I need to do that? Because that's what I'm setting it equal to right here. So I'm going to return hash dot toString. So that means I can say string hash password equals create hash password. Cool. Made it just a little bit shorter. Alrighty. with all of that done, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to copy these. Control C, going to come up here into my login, Control V, like so. Okay, convert, yeah, let's get the hashed password here, construct HTML form. So I'm going to call this, I'm going to change some of these, and hopefully I'm going to remember what they are. So I'm going to say login user, and then I'm going to say login pass, and I'm not going to call create account PHP. I'm going to call login PHP, and I'm not going to start a do account creation coroutine. I'm going to call a do login coroutine. So I've got an error here on my login PHP. Why is that? Because I don't have this up here. So let's go ahead and right here, string login PHP equals, and I'm going to do a copy and paste job here. Control C, Control V, but I'm going to change the name back here. Instead of create account, I'm going to call this login. Aha. I feel like I'm making progress there. Okay, now I only have one error left, which is that I do not have this coroutine down here. So let's go ahead and just copy our current coroutine. Control C. And let's paste it. But we're going to call this something else. We're going to call this do login. And we're going to just this stuff, right? We're not going to be subscribing to on account creation. We're going to be subscribing to, what are we going to be subscribing to? On login. And then we're going to call it on login. It needs a parameter. So I'm going to say true. I'm going to say we have successfully logged in. That is what I'm going to do. Okay, awesome. So we are set to do some stuffs. So let's do some stuff. First thing I want to do is I want to bounce back into Unity, and what I'm doing here is I'm just making sure that I'm good on the Unity side. I don't have any syntax errors. Maybe I've got some typos and it's not going to work, but I don't have any syntax errors. Awesome. So now let's jump into our PHP. So let's see, where am I? Let's go to our, I think I'm on the C drive. Yes, let's go to our local drive. Let's go to XAMPP. Let's go to htdocs, ECGC demo, DB handlers, and I have all of these. I'm going to duplicate create account, Control C, Control V, but I'm going to rename this one to be login. All right, let's load this up inside our Notepad++. Oops, going on the wrong screen. No, I don't care about the update right now. Boom, 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 boom. Bring it over here. Alrighty. Let's see. Okay, so let's start off by getting our stuff. It was, what was it? Login user, if I remember right. Login user. Cool. And this was login pass, I believe. Login pass. Pretty cool. Feel good about that. Where everything is just going to work the same. Kind of, pretty much. Except I need a different query. And what I'm going to do this time, my query is going to not be inserting, because that's not what I want to do. I want to find the record in the database that matches a certain thing. So specifically, I want to find the record that matches the username. So how do we find things? Well, we will say select a record, select what part of the record, select everything of the record from a table. In this case, it's going to be, I believe I called it users. Let's see. I got a lot of stuff open up there. I believe I called it users. I'm not certain though. Let's go to our, let's see. I called it users, and I just checked by looking at PHP My Admin on my other screen. Okay, so we're going to select that from that table. Where the username equals, single quote, variable user, single quote, boom, nope, boom, boom, poof. There we go. So I'm going to select everything. I'm going to select the whole record from the users table where the username field equals this variable. Okay, so then let's go ahead and execute that. And rather than just echoing our results, I mean, that was a cute idea. It worked fine with what I was doing before, but you can imagine I'm going to be going back into that create account. I mean, we've got to add a lot of stuff in there, but we're not ready for that just yet. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, the results is basically, yeah, so it's results, right? What I want to do is I want to parse this into a, I'm drawing like a complete blank, into an array. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to create a new variable. And I'm going to call this variable record. And that's going to be, I'm calling it that because that's the record that I'm pulling back. So my record is going to equal my SQLi underscore fetch underscore array. So fetch as an array something from MySQL is essentially what I'm saying. What do I want to convert to an array? The results that I got, this right here. Well, where did we get results from inside this execute SQL.php, which we did in our last video? All right, so now I've got my results, and I've turned them into that, that thing right there. Okay, so what I want to do next is I'm going to do a if. See, I could just say, hey, it was successful, but I'm going to go ahead and do a little error checking in here and say if string str, no, I'm going to say if not strcmp. I'm going to compare two strings. What two strings do I want to compare? I want to compare the hashed password that I was given from Unity with dollar, with what I'm getting in here, which is going to be dollar data's quote password. I don't know what I was trying to type there. Password. Boom. Boom. And I need one more of those. And at this point, I could be like, let's see what I want to do. I could do an echo. I'm going to say 1 for on or true or whatever. Else, I will echo, boom, boom, echo, fail. The same kind of echo that I did last time. Yeah. So, let's see, this should be fine. This should work. Yeah, let's see what this does. And yeah, let's see what it does. I might need to double check some things, but I think this will work. So basically, once I get the results, if the password, if it does not equal, if it does equal, what do I want to say if it does not equal? If the password that I've been sent from Unity does equal that password that's inside there, that should be fine. Seems like this should say record though. Yeah, I'm getting emails. Go away. I don't know why I'm putting data S there. Seems like that should be record. Okay. All right. Let's see what happens. Let's see. So I will come back here. Boom, boom. And inside my database handler, where's my database handler? It is over here. So if it does not equal fail, we logged in. We logged in. We logged in. Otherwise, failed to log in. And at this point, I will also go ahead and do a plus, what is this? MSG. Let's see what the PHP is sending back to us. All right, let's try this out. Let's go into Unity. Boom, boom, boom. Unity, come hither. There you are. Let's play this. So if I remember right, once upon a time when I created my account, I did a Jerry and I did a pass, and let's log in. Boom. And I have a parsing error in my PHP. So I have a feeling that there was something in there. So let me pause and let me go find my parsing error in there. Okay, welcome back everybody. So I am done being stupid. What was my problem? I had no equal sign right here. And while I was playing around with that, I went ahead and just kind of double checked some things. Because I was, in the back of my mind, I was like, string compare, this should be not string compare. And I was like, why am I thinking that that should be not? String compare, this should come back true if they compare the same, false otherwise. So why am I saying that it would be a correct login if it's false? The reason is the way string compare in PHP works is it actually spits back an integer. If it's less than 0, then string 1 is less than string 2. If it's greater than 0, then string 1 is greater than string 2. If it is exactly 0, then string 1 exactly equals string 2. So, yeah. So for comparing, if I want to know if they're exactly the same, I need to say this is not, or I could say if it equals 0, 0. Okay, so with all that done and out of the way, let's go ahead and clear some stuff and let's see what happens. So that should solve my little PHP error I was having, which was that missing equal sign. I think every video I'm going to have at least one error. That's kind of the problem with bouncing back and forth between different programming languages. Failed to log in. Why did I fail to log in this time? That should not be the case. That should definitely not be the case. Did I not save it? I did not save it. See, it's red up here in Notepad++, so I did not save that. Go me. I feel sad. Work. Okay, let's try this again. Jerry and my super secret password of pass. Let's log in. I'm logged in. Boom. Succeeded. And that was correct. Let's try giving myself an incorrect password. So I'm going to say password and log in. I failed. So I'm getting back from the database whether or not I successfully logged in or not. I'm spitting back these messages right here. And currently these messages are only going to our console, our debug, which is okay. But if we take a look up here and we start thinking about what do I want to be doing here and stuff like that, and you might be wondering, how come that second time we did this it didn't display anything? That's because our UI handler we had unsubscribed right here. Remember, I was thinking, do I want to be unsubscribing that? As it turns out, no, I don't, because if they're going to try again, I want to display the message. Okay, so here's what we need to do, though. We need to get this so that if it's true, it displays one message. If it's false, it displays another message. And this is going to be a really quick fix. So right here, I'm going to cut this out. I'm back in my database handler. So I have successfully logged in. Boom. I'm going to do that. I have failed to log in. Boom. With a, instead of true on this one, it is going to become false. Let's go back to our UI handler, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this message. By default, I'm going to leave it as logged in. Sure, why not? But I will now say if not success. If we failed to log in, string message equals failed to log in. And it's at that point that I could do like create new account. I'm not going to tell them, oh, your password was wrong, or oops, sorry, not string message. It just has to be MSG. I'm not going to tell them that incorrect username, incorrect password. I'm not going to tell them that part of it was right. I'm just going to say, hey, didn't work. And later on, as I continue developing this project, which not all of this will be on these videos, but as I continue developing the project commercially, I will end up adding account recovery buttons, where then that means I'm going to have to go back to my database and add an email and stuff like that. And I don't know, I might put some of that later on YouTube for you guys to take a look at. But anyway, so now my display message should show either I successfully or I failed to log in. And the UI handler doesn't know exactly what happened. It just knows what it needs to display. So let's turn that off. Let's go ahead and play this again. Which referenced script is missing? Okay, good. So we're going to say, Jerry, why don't you log in with your password of pass? Logged in. Cool. All right, let's try your other password of password. Log in. Failed. Ha! Awesome. All right, so we are now to the point where we are going, we can create an account and we can now log in or not log in, whatever the case may be. Really quick before I let you go and this video ends, I'm going to go to my password dialog box, my text boxes for the passwords, and scrolling down, looking in my inspector here, I have a content type. I'm going to change it from standard to password, which is then going to show stars instead of the actual text we've been seeing. And I've kind of been using the text because, well, you know, it's nice to know exactly what it is I'm typing in. Now that I know things are working, I'm not so worried about that. So then I'm going to go into my new account canvas and once again go to its side panel. Password is also going to be changed to a password type, and password 1 is going to be changed to a password type. And later on, I'm going to have to add an email for when they're creating an account, and that's going to be an email address type. But for right now, password. Cool. Let's save this really quick. Just do one final run just so you can see what's going to happen. Boom, 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 boom. Run, run, run. Take your time. There we go. Jerry, go down to our password. We're going to type PASS. You can see it's stars. Doesn't show what I'm typing. We're going to log in, and we failed to log in that time. Why did I fail to log in? I should not have failed to log in. Did I hold down my caps lock? PASS. That should not have been a failure. Okay, let me look at what just happened. Okay, so the problem is actually simple enough. It's just a case of me being stupid again and having forgotten something really fundamental. So the way that I'm currently doing this is I am using text for the text I'm pulling out of those. And this text is going to represent what is displayed in there, not what is stored in there. To see this, if I go down into my login click and I do a debug.log password text and run this really quick, boom, you're going to see that what it's going to display, what it's going to show down here in the console is actually what's displayed in our text box. So I'll type Jerry password, login, 4 stars, 4 asterisks. So what I really want to do is I want to get the text of the input field. I want to get the text from the input field component itself instead of what's displayed out there. So how do I do that? Well, pretty straightforward, really. So up here, I'm going to create a new public variable. Public input field password input, boom, and I'm going to go ahead and actually I'm going to call it just password, like so, because that way I don't really have to change a whole lot. I'm going to get rid of it from up here, and yes, you can imagine I'm going to have to do the same thing over here. So I'll go ahead and just grab these and run these over to Control X to right here, and I should probably use username and put those down here too, but not going to. Okay, now I don't need to change anything else because the password, which is an input field, does have a text property that I can access. So it'll be fine. I just have to change whether I'm getting it from the text or from an input field. So now I'm going to have to reassociate my variables here. So let's bring up UI Manager. And so my password, that's going to come from my login canvas. Drag password over to here. And then I've got my new password. That comes from my new account canvas, which is down here. Side panel. I'll do password, and then I will do password 1 goes there. Okay. All right, so let's save our scene. Let's play this, and we should be good to go this time. And we will hit a, come on now, boom, 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 there we go. Username and password of pass, login, logged in. We're good, we're golden. And I can double check it. I can go ahead and do Word as my password this time. Failed. Haha, we're off. Okay, so we've got account login working. We've got account creation working. We still need to do a little bit of error checking. That's going to be our next video. We will get that one taken care of, in a couple days or so. But any questions, just throw them in the comments down below. I'll do my best to answer them or make up something if I have no idea what the answer is. All right, so have a good day. Bye-bye.